Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. And today's random review features the 1928 film The Man Who Laughs, directed by Paul Leni, starring Conrad Veidt and Mary Philbin. This is from Universal Studios. Paul Leni only made a few films in Universal Studios before he died at the age of 44. He had made Waxwork in Germany, and he made The Cat and the Canary, and also The Chinese Parrot, which is a lost Charlie Chan film. Like a lot of directors that ended up in Hollywood and at Universal, he was German, so the film has a lot of German expressionism in it. It's based on a Victor Hugo book, because obviously the studio had success with The Hunchback of Notre Dame and also Les Miserables. This is the Flicker Alley Region A release from early this year on Blu-ray. It's also got the deluxe edition on DVD, because it was quite hard to get on DVD. I mean, Flicker Alley is quite expensive, but it's certainly worth it as far as I'm concerned, because this is one of the best silent films. And if you're a Conrad Veidt fan, as I am, it's an essential purchase. So you get a nice booklet with an essay, cast list, and some nice production photographs. It's quite a fantastic film. If you've seen the film, or certainly you can see clues that the main character, Gwynplaine, might have been an influence on a certain DC comic villain, or maybe it's just a coincidence. So the story starts in England with King James II being woken up by his jester slash Iago figure, Barkilphedro. Yeah, some of the names are a bit of a tongue twister. And they've captured the rebel who's called Lord Clancharlie. I'm not making these names up, honest. Who's also played by Conrad Veidt. And they have captured his son. They introduced Conrad Veidt to the Iron Lady, or the Iron Maiden, and we don't see Lord Clancharlie again, not surprisingly. So we cut to hearing that his son has been put in the clutches of the Comprachicos, who are essentially child snatchers. And there was a thing at a certain time in history where they would steal children and perform surgery on them to give them a permanent smile, to be essentially sold into carnivals and freak shows. So this is what happens to Gwynplaine. So we see him as a little boy. He is supposed to go with the Dr. Hardquanonne. Again, I'm not making these names up. And as soon as they do this to the rebel's son, they then outlaw Comprachicos from England. So he's supposed to go on a boat with the doctor, but the gypsies don't want him, so he's left on his own, abandoned. So he wanders through the countryside. It's snowing at the time, and he finds this dying woman in the snow who has a baby. So he takes the baby and he looks for refuge, and he knocks on the door of a man called Ursus, who's a playwright and philosopher, and he takes both of them in, and obviously he's taken aback by the boy's little smile. He tells him to stop laughing, but of course he can't, because he's been surgically changed, and it is quite creepy. The constant smile at times is quite disturbing, and certainly on the child actor it's a little bit creepy. So that's kind of the introduction. So we go into years later, and obviously Gwynplaine has grown up, and he's grown up into Conrad Veidt, coincidentally, and the baby girl has grown up to a character called Dea, who is blind, and obviously Gwynplaine and Dea are very much in love, but Gwynplaine doesn't want to get married because obviously avoids letting Dea touch his mouth, or they've never kissed or anything. Their relationship is quite wonderful, and the scenes are actually quite moving between them. So the three of them plus Homo the wolf, again I'm not making this up, Homo the wolf is played by Zimbo, and Zimbo gives a wonderful performance, and is integral in the story. Homo the wolf is one of the best dog performances in cinema history, I would say. So they get to a town, and obviously Gwynplaine's notoriety really draws the crowds, and there is subplots with a duchess and the queen, because the king is now dead, and Barkilphedro is her confidant and manipulator behind the scenes, again very much like Iago from Othello. And the queen really doesn't like this duchess, so she's heard of the man who laughs, or the laughing man, and they find out that he is the heir to Lord Clancharlie. So to get revenge on the duchess, they have this plot that she has to marry the laughing man to actually keep her fortune, otherwise she'll lose it. So there's kind of subplots that, to be fair, aren't really the best, and the film does suffer when Conrad Veidt isn't on screen, because he just gives a wonderful performance as a man who at times is heartbroken and sad and depressed, but of course he's got a big grin in his face. It's obviously Veidt had kind of came onto the scene in the cabinet of Dr. Caligari almost 10 years earlier, and this is another masterful performance by him, with his slicked back hair and this amazing fixed grin on his face, which at times is creepy. Well, most of the time it's creepy, to be fair. It's a great film. It's perhaps a little long at 110 minutes. It could have maybe cut a little bit of the subplots, but there's beautiful scenes when Gwynplaine's taken away to prison and Ursus follows him there, and then a coffin comes out, so Ursus believes that he's been killed, so he goes back to the kind of circus, but tells the clowns and the people that dare can't find out that Gwynplaine's dead. So obviously the show's cancelled, but they pretend to be the crowd, and it's really quite moving, as through tears the clowns are all making noise and trying to sound like the crowd. There is several scenes that are actually quite moving, and again it's because it's characters that you care about and they're played so well, obviously including Homo the Wolf. It has scenes of action, there's a little bit of swordplay, there's some comedy, there's tragedy. It's pretty much got everything you'd almost expect from a silent film. Obviously the German expressionist influences are all over the place. The compositions are beautiful. It's such a well mounted film. Again, it's creepy, it's disturbing at times, especially early on with Gwynplaine the child, and it's just another tour de force by Conrad Veidt, and it does have a fantastically moving ending. So thank you very much for watching. If you're a fan of silent films, and if you're a fan of Conrad Veidt, or if you're a fan of just unusual little films, I would highly recommend it. And I would, if you've got a multi-region player, I would recommend the Flicker Alley Region A release. It has like a 15-minute video essay about the making of the film, and obviously there's the essay in the booklet, but it also has a 2018 score for it that was specially recorded, but it also has the original 1928 score, which is worth checking out. Yeah, so I would recommend the film if you're that way inclined, and I would certainly recommend this release. The Blu-ray, they've done a really good job in the restoration. I did have this on a DVD and the print wasn't that great, but the Blu-ray restoration is really good. Yeah, so that's The Man Who Laughs. So let me know in the comments below if you've seen The Man Who Laughs and what you think of it, and hopefully we'll see you again for another random review, because my reviews certainly are random. So thanks very much for watching. This is Solitude Ronan saying farewell.